Good morning and welcome, and thank you so much for joining me this morning. I had intended to be at a nature reserve photographing birds, but although it's not raining at the moment, it is overcast, but the forecast is that within the next hour it could be raining quite hard, so I decided instead I would stay home, process some photographs that I've taken over the last month or so and still not got around to getting processed, and do a little bit of gear talk. Now, I don't usually talk about gear. There are so many people out there on YouTube who are much better than me at reviewing and talking about the technicalities of the gear, but we all get caught up in it. I suspect, you know, those of us who enjoy our photography, whether as a professional or as a hobby, and I'll be honest, I am fundamentally a hobbyist. I do sell the occasional photograph, either privately or through something like Alamy, one of the stock photograph providers. But most of what I do because I just enjoy it. And I get enjoyment also about having good kit to do it with. I've been a Nikon shooter for something like 12 years. I started out with the Nikon D7000. That was my first Nikon DSLR, and it's what set me on the path with regard to buying a range of lenses and building up from there. Since then I've had the D500, a D810, a D850, and then 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, I decided to move into mirrorless, and I bought the Nikon Z6, and despite all the negatives that I kept seeing out there on YouTube and elsewhere on the internet, I really loved the Z6. I've still got it, and mainly my wife uses it now rather than myself. I then bought the Z7 II when that came out, and indeed that's the camera that I'm using to record this video with. And I was using that as my principal camera, the 7 II, right up until April this year, when I bought the Z9. And those of you who look at the various YouTubes that talk about Nikon gear can't help but notice that we were bombarded with videos really from the mid-autumn right through until the last few months that were just telling us that, you know, we could not exist without a Z9. Well, of course, one of the problems is getting hold of one. I've been very fortunate as a member of the NPS group. I was able to get mine at the beginning of April, so I did have to wait some 4 months or almost 5 months from placing the order until this little baby arrived for me. And I have to say, I'm delighted with it. No camera is perfect, but it certainly allowed me to get a number of shots, particularly sequences of birds in flight, that I could never have dreamt of getting using my Z7 or my Z6, or indeed before that my Nikon D850 or D500. Of course, recently we have seen a whole raft of videos that talk to us about the latest generation of telephoto lenses. If you're like me in the Nikon camp, you'll be aware that Nikon brought out the Z400 f2.8 lens quite recently, but I have to say at some 13,500 UK pounds, I don't think that's going to appear on my shopping list anytime soon. Also, of course, back at the time when the Z9 was introduced, we also had the introduction of the Z100 to 400, f4 to 5.6, I think it is. I've had one on order ever since, and at the moment, talking to my dealer here in the UK, I think I would have more success waiting for a dinosaur egg to hatch than the delivery of that lens. Of course, there's also been most recently the Z800 PF lens. Now, I have used, I had a 300 PF, and I have to say they are unbelievably good lenses. So the 800 PF is something that, again, really does appeal, giving the range for obviously long-range shots with wildlife. But again, I'm not expecting to see one arrive in my front door that quickly. So, what can we use to give us a good chance of getting good shots that are almost going to be on a par to what those new lenses might give us? And I think this is actually one of the problems. We read these or see these reviews that all tell us how absolutely fantastically pin sharp these latest new lenses are, and how much superior they are to their immediate predecessors, or indeed those that go a long way before. And in truth, unless you are creating a massive wall print, I don't think it really matters that much. I've got here two lenses that I use quite a bit. The first lens is actually the one I've had longest, is this one, which you may recognize. It's the Nikon F-mount 200 to 500 f5.6, and at the new price as it was when I bought it, which was something in the region of about £1,100, it represents extremely good value. It's not over heavy, but it's still not light, and I've been getting some very good results with it. I've been very pleased with it. I know that the new 100-400 will be significantly, or they say significantly faster in focusing. That may well be. But this has not been that bad, not slow, and certainly I've not been dissatisfied with it at all. Obviously, to connect up to the mirrorless, I've got the FTZ on here, so that with a full frame camera like my Z9, my Z7, my Z6, before that the D850, they're all full frame cameras, so it's giving me a 500mm reach. I do also have, to go with it, the 1.4 teleconverter, which gives me a range with this lens of 700mm, or it takes the base aperture up to f8. But I would show you some results I have got with this lens, because I think they are very good, and certainly for just over £1,000 plus a few £100 for the teleconverter, when you compare this to buying one of the next generation lenses, this does give you superb results for a very good price. And of course now you can pick these up second hand in very good condition from a number of resellers for well under the £1,000. So definitely not a lens to be ignored. The other lens I use is this one, which is the Z70 to 200 f2.8. A very, very good lens. And obviously on its own though, it's not going to give me everything I want in wildlife photography. However, I do have here also the Z 2x teleconverter, and I was always a little hesitant about 2x teleconverters. Certainly with the F-mount I would never have considered getting one, but I went into my local dealer at Park Cameras in Burgess Hill in Sussex, and I asked to try one, and I ran some comparative tests of this combination with the 2x teleconverter attached to the 70 to 200 and compared it to the 300 PF prime I had with and without the 1.4 teleconverter, and I'll be absolutely honest with you, I found it nigh on impossible to tell the difference. And of course the 300 is a very, very good lens, very sharp lens. So for this combination, giving me up to 400 resolution range, has been really what I have now used as my almost standard. Also, of course, with the camera, I can switch from the full frame to the crop sensor mode, which gives me even more range, comparable to what I used to get from the D500. And again, I've been very pleased with the results, whether it's been using the 200 with the 2x teleconverter or the 200-500 with the 1.4 teleconverter. So what I'm going to do now is show you some of the shots that I've taken using these two combinations and let you judge for yourself. By the way, everything I do has been processed in Capture One, which is now my preferred RAW processor. Occasionally I need to remove noise if the ISO has been very high, which I have to say is not that often, but on those rare occasions when the light has been very low and I have wanted to remove noise, I use the DxO Pure Raw utility, which works very, very well with Capture One, as it does also with Lightroom, and something I can certainly recommend. I do also have the Topaz denoise application, but I do find I get better results using Pure Raw. I hope this is helpful, and I hope you enjoy the photographs that I'm about to show, and if you want to send me any queries or comments in the comment section, then please do so. If you like this video, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you don't already do so. Thank you very much indeed for watching.